What's good, everybody? Welcome into the golf-only episode of The Early Edge. We do it every single Tuesday afternoon. I, of course, am the coach. We are powered by SportsLine and Winner Chicken Dinner. That's right. Last week, right here on the show, we cashed a 20-1 plus 2,000 ticket on the winner of the Wells Fargo. That is Rory McIlroy. Bubba Watson decided he wanted to play plus 5 over his last few holes to fall out of our top 10 pick, or it would have been a humongous week. But it wasn't my pick. It was the star of the show. Let's bring him in right now. You know him. He's the incredible host of the First Cut podcast here at CBS as well. Rick Run Good on social media. Rick G, good afternoon, sir.
Coach, good to have you. Always good to get an outright winner. A little house money heading into the next week, and we might need it because this is a new course. There's a lot of stuff we've got to parse through, but there's nobody else I'd rather do it with than you right now.
My man, I appreciate that. Now, before we look forward quickly, we had some other dramatics happen last week. You and I had a hardcore, our usual $100 bet. I had Max Homa. You had Sanjay M. And a bunch of people on Twitter didn't know our rule. Thank God the rule of both guys, at least one guy has to make it to the weekend, because we were both embarrassed by that bet.
It was bad. I mean, Sungjae played well on day one, and then he shot like an 81 or 82 on Friday, and I'm going, oh my God, just make the cut. I win this bet because Max Homa's in the basement, and he couldn't do it. So yeah, we play by the rules of if both guys make the cut, it's a push, because if you had to send me $100 and my guy was, 8 over par, it wouldn't have been pretty. It wouldn't have been fun to even collect on that.
I love making those bets with you. I really, really do. There was one guy on Twitter that sent a note to Max Homa, and I love Max on Twitter, and he said, "You ruined my DFS, my draft. Everybody else made it but you." And he tweeted back at him, "I'm sorry, you suck at gambling." He was just like, enough, drop the mic. That's Max Homa. But Max, next time, just make the cut, would you? All right, let's spin it forward to this week. It's another CBS show, Saturday and Sunday, 3 Eastern, right here in the family, 1 week from the PGA Championship, which I cannot wait for that. But I think there's a lot of value this week. You set a new course. Tell the people at home what they can expect.
That's right. It's TPC Craig Ranch. It's in McKinney, Texas. So we're in that Dallas metro area. And this is a new course. And from what we can tell from boots on the ground, from some of the flyovers, there's not really much danger off the tee here. You're going to be able to bomb it without regards to much accuracy. So that helps the longer guys who maybe don't hit a lot of fairways, and certainly going to be right up the alley of Bryson DeChambeau. And then you kind of look at the green complexes. You look at the par fives. There's 4 of them. Seemingly all of them look like they're going to be reachable in 2. There's a couple of really short par 4s. So at the end of the day, Coach, I think when the dust settles, we are going to see a very low score win this, potentially something 20 under par, as long as those wins, those Texas wins stay away. I think you're going to have to make a lot of birdies to contend and win this golf tournament.
And you know what's crazy? With all the changes to the schedule the last 12 to 18 months, there are some weeks, Rick, that have been hurt by the new schedule, and there are some weeks like this week that have certainly been helped. A lot of big names took some time off. Spieth, Zalatoris, Hideki, Brooks. They all have been off for the better part of a month. They're coming back this week with the major on the horizon to get their game sharp. That's a big deal, but it makes it harder for people like you to figure out what to play. Am I right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's just less data, short-term data. You got to try to figure out what they've been doing over the past 3 or 4 weeks. We know that Jordan Spieth had a battle with COVID. We know Hideki Matsuyama got the hero's welcome when he went back to Japan. These are all the things that are hard to quantify for a guy like me who likes to quantify everything, but we're going to do our best and figure out a way to get some names near the top of the leaderboard.
I would love to see all the numbers that go through your brain on a daily basis. I think it would be a fun reality show. Okay, let's jump right in now. So here's what we do on the show every single week. We do 2 head-to-heads. We do a couple of props, and then we sprinkle a little bit on a winner, like last week, plus 2,000. That was nice to cash. So let's start with your head-to-head matchups. This is our bread and butter. This is where people make their money. What do you like this week?
That's right. The aforementioned Hideki Matsuyama, who we know went to Japan after winning the Masters. He had to quarantine for 2 weeks. He did the full tour, got all the honors, all the accolades, all the pomp and circumstance. I certainly don't want to try to quantify how that is going to affect his play this week, but I'm concerned it cuts into his practice time. So I'm taking Matt Fitzpatrick at minus 120 over Hideki Matsuyama. Throw the Hideki stuff out the window. Matt Fitzpatrick has been the second best player on tour behind only Jordan Spieth in terms of strokes gained since since the start of 2021. That does not even include his victory on the European Tour at the end of 2020. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And then I'm going back to Sam Burns, fresh off his victory at the Valspar Championship. He's had a week off. He's minus 125 over Sergio Garcia, and I could not draw up a better spot for Sam Burns than TPC Craig Ranch. He's going to be able to lean on that driver. He hits it further than the vast majority of the PGA Tour. He's also one of the better iron players. So when everybody gets out there, finds their ball, and has to try to stick it close to make those birdies, Sam Burns is better than most. So I'm taking him minus 125 over Sergio Garcia at minus 105.
And you have to believe his confidence is at an all-time high after finishing in style at the Valspar. All of these odds from Rick G, courtesy of our partners at William Hill. Now, give me a couple of props that you looked at and you saw that number jump off the page and says, I like that.
Let's start with Mark Leishman, and I'm not a huge Mark Leishman fan, but TPC Craig Ranch sets up great for Leishman. I'm going to take him here at a top 10 plus 275. And the way that I look at this, Leishman is very inaccurate with the driver, but if there is no penalty, if there is no danger for being inaccurate, this could turn into an approach fest. And if it turns into that, I really do like Leishman, who's much better with his irons. We have seen him win on tour, not only last year at Torrey Pines, but he also won the team event just a couple of weeks ago with Cam Smith. So I think this is a perfect situation to roll out Leishman for a top 10. And then I'm going with John Catlin in a top 20, and I'm getting 4-1 on my money there. And if you don't know who John Catlin is, I understand. He's an American playing on the European Tour. He has not played on the PGA Tour since the 2019 John Deere Classic, but since then he has won 4 times in 4 different countries. Just a couple of weeks ago on the European Tour, he's won 3 times alone in his last 15 starts. He is a top 80 player in the world, and now he's coming back. He's coming back to the States. He's going to try to put his stamp on things, and I just think golf is so deep. If you find success on any tour at the rate that John Catlin has, you're doing something right. So I'm asking him to finish inside the top 20 at plus 400.
It kind of feels like what Brooks Koepka did, what Peter Uihlein did, and you're absolutely correct. There are so many good players on the European Tour, and if that's the route you have to go, that's the route you have to go. Now, I'm very intrigued because I have made 2 picks to win, and as fate would have it, Rick G, they're the same as you. Please give it to the people.
There we go. Great mind. Scotty Scheffler, 18-1. We know he's a Texas boy. We know he's going for his first PGA Tour start. And if you compare the last 24 rounds for everybody on the PGA Tour, Scotty Scheffler starts to look more like Bryson DeChambeau. He's not going to hit it as far. He's not going to gain as many strokes off the tee, but he does it in other ways. He birdies or better over a quarter of his holes during that stretch. He's just trending in the right direction. This feels like a perfect breakthrough spot, and we know he can get hot. He's already got 159 under his belt in his career. And then Brooks Koepka, 22-1. Almost a very similar situation to what we had with Rory McIlroy last week. A lot of questions around Brooks Koepka. He played the Masters on a bum knee. We don't really know the state of his game or his health, but we assume that he's feeling pretty good if he's teeing it up this week, and those odds are much too long. Same thing I said last week, Coach. When he wins again, you're not going to see numbers like this. We can just copy and paste from last week. Brooks at 22-1, much too deep in this field that I think is really, really top heavy.
And I will not be as stupid as I was last week to verbally say Brooks Koepka has no shot. I give way too many audio grabs for the jeweler to
sound bites
to play sound bites for the jeweler to deal with. So
there you go. There's one.
Oh, there's one. All right. I love these picks this week. We're up against it. Grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here we go. Here's the recap from Rick G. The 2 head-to-heads that he loves. Matthew Fitzpatrick, minus 120 over Hideki, the Masters champ, and Sam Burns, your Valspar champion, minus 125 over Sergio. Then a couple of props. Mark Leishman, top 10, plus 275. John Catlin, top 20, coming back at plus 400. And then sprinkle Scotty Scheffler to win. That's plus 1,800. He loves playing in Texas. He went to the University of Texas. Then Brooks Koepka, who I believe, Rick, is going to be super motivated because Jordan has won, Rory has won, and nobody's talking about him. I think his big ego is not going to like that very much. That's motivation. Do you think so?
I think that he wants to inject himself back into the PGA Championship talk, and I know one way he could do that.
By winning this week at a brand new venue.
Yep.
All right. I love doing the show with you, Rick, so much. You've got your marching orders. Let's take 5 of these tickets straight to the pay window. You can't have 2 winners. For Rick Run Good, Rick G, you can see him 6 days a week on the award-winning First Cut podcast. I am the coach, and the jeweler puts it all together. By the way, if you haven't seen that little video on Twitter, check us out. Rick and I are in it. The jeweler's in it. It's fantastic. We have a brand new movie out called The Early Edge. I'm just kidding. This is the only place, we love this so much, for your weekly golf Early Edge. Good luck. Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.